People hear about God's wrath, and they have a hard time accepting that He's actually loving. And that can easily be understood if you don't see the big picture of what God is doing. That's very much more loving and wise than we understand. It's detailed more in our core trilogy videos, but here's a summary of what God is doing and why you should agree that some wrath is actually a good thing. Think of how a loving and wise parent would respond if someone was persistently pursuing their young child with some very bad influences. They know their child is not yet mature enough to understand these influences, which actually feel like fun, but they're actually bad for their overall life. For example, think of a 17-year-old boy that's known for taking advantage of girls, and he's pursuing your 15-year-old daughter that has been surrounded by wholesome friends. She feels the excitement of being able to have a relationship with this guy who's so popular with so many people in the school. But she's naive to what's really happening. What would the loving and wise parent do? The parent would take whatever measures are necessary to make sure this relationship doesn't follow the path this boy frequently repeats. Wrath may not be the word they use, but they are focused on keeping this bad influence away from their child. Similar to the young daughter, we think we're wise. We look at the world around us and feel like we're wise enough to make these decisions that feel like they can bring us happiness. But we're naive too. This world is a blink of an eye in our eternal lives, and the mess that we see around us is because of our own actions. There are about 8 billion people in this world, and they all believe they have basically a good set of values. But the 8 billion of us are the ones that create all the strife that we see around us. Of course, each of us feels that if those other 8 billion would just trust our ways, all would be good. But God is even more loving and wise than the parents of the 15-year-old girl. God designed us and created us. He gave us free will so that we can see what happens when we make our own choices and we don't trust Him. Those that do trust Him can experience a more rewarding life now and will spend eternity surrounded by others that have decided to trust God. That will mean an eternity full of wholesome relationships in a place far more beautiful than we have here. And those that don't trust Him will not be there because they would make heaven the same mess that we have here. So God does express wrath towards those that reject what He is teaching us. He does that because He's staging an eternity in heaven and will not allow corrupted values in there. God says in Romans 1, verses 18 through 22, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown them. So they are without excuse. For although they knew God, they did not honor Him as God or give thanks to Him, but became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools." So, God is love. And we see in John 14:9 and Matthew 21:12 to 13 that He did express anger at things that were going wrong too, like what some of the people were doing, for example, such as selling stuff while in the temple. But He also showed much love towards those who had big needs. That's what love does. Thanks for listening.